Okay, now for some common sampling methods. In Math 105, we're only going to discuss four sampling methods. If you are going on to 243, you will discuss more. So here we have a chart to kind of break it up more easily, and we're going to have a description, so pretty much a definition, give a picture of it, and give a specific example. So for ease, all of our examples will just make about PCC students. So that is our population, PCC students. The first method, sampling method that is called the simple random sample. For some reason, it can sometimes be a tongue twister, so you will often hear me refer to this as SRS. So what this means is you have your population, and you are going to randomly choose your subjects in a survey or, to measure whatever your study is. But so for us, we're talking about PCC students, so I'm going to randomly choose my students. An example of that is maybe selecting a number of G numbers at random. Okay, so I'm not attaching it to anybody. I'm just looking on a computer screen and randomly selecting students by their G numbers. A lot of computer programs will do this for us. There's actually even an app I can download on my phone, and it will randomly choose on which students to call on for the day. It's pretty cool. So the description of this is subjects are chosen at random. Another key thing to mention is every subject is equally likely to be chosen. Going into the other box, forgive me. Okay, I'm going to switch some colors. So the next sampling method is the systematic sample. So kind of similar, except now I'm going to have a system behind it. I'm not going to randomly choose my subjects. So I'm given my population, and maybe I choose every third student, right? So I'm going to choose this one, this one, this one, this one, something like that. So our example for this would be maybe I'm going to select every 50th G number. You could also do this if, say I'm not looking at G numbers and students are standing in a line, like maybe for registration or something. I'm going to select every third student in line. Let me fix that word. Line. Okay. So the description of this is you either have a list or a line, and you select every nth subject. So no longer is it random. That's the difference between those two. Our third sampling method is known as the stratified sample. And what that means is now we have this population, but we're going to divide it into categories. So because we're focusing our examples on PCC students, we have 4 different campuses. So those could be our different categories. So we have Slovenia, which is, the biggest. And then we have Rock Creek. This does not look terribly accurate, but then Cascade is a little bit bigger. And then we have Southeast. So I'm going to choose subjects from each population. So our example is we're going to be divided by campuses and sample randomly from each campus. And this is proportional to its population. So the formal description for this is we divide into subgroups and take a random sample of each. Hands moving too fast. Random sample of each. This would be kind of, it seems more approachable, or what's the word I'm looking for? More accurate, because if Sylvania is larger than Southeast, then we need to choose proportionally compared to the two campuses to get a good representation of our population. And the last sampling method is our convenient sampling. I like to think of this as like our lazy sampling. So that is why this is just not the best at all how we should get our data. All right, you're not putting any thought behind it. It typically will not give you a good representation of your population. And so a picture of that is you're just focusing on what's convenient for you, and then you choose your subjects that way. So an example of that would, if I'm trying to get a good idea of, I don't know, how, like what students think of me, right? I want to know if they would want to take me again as an instructor. And I only conveniently ask students that I have a good rapport with, right? That's not going to give me a good idea of how my students view me as an instructor. So this is not a great sampling method. So an example of this would be I would just ask students, whom I have a good rapport with. Or like, I don't know, conveniently, I'm just standing in the cafeteria and I'm going to just ask students that talk to me, all right? I'm not going out of my way to make sure our entire population is being represented. So this is choosing subjects that are convenient for the researcher. So this one is to be aware of this one, especially when the media is giving you information. Okay, so what I would like you to do is pause the video and see in example 2 if you can determine the sampling method in each 4 of these cases. And once you are done, unpause, and so you can check. All right, so one says, Court TV determines public opinion on a certain court case by collecting information from a voluntary phone call. So, this is really relying on people to pick up the phone and answer questions that I want to ask them, right? Or that Court TV wants to ask them. So that's why this would be convenience. right? I mean, we're really relying on people to reach out to us to get information. We're not going to get a good idea of how the population feels. 2, a computer randomly selects 500 students from a college active student database to predict attendance for at least one basketball game. Okay, so don't get caught up in that 500 because I'm not saying every 500th student, right? I'm just picking from 500 students randomly. There's no rhyme or reason how those 500 students are coming about. And this gives it away. And that is why this would be your simple random sampling. 3, every 10th student is asked if they've completed their math requirements. Well, this gives it away. Every 10th student. So that's why this is systematic. And 4, a study of daily TV viewing habits uses 100 participants who complete high school only. Then another 100 participants who have 2 to 4 year college degrees only. And then another 100 participants who have a graduate degree. So we're using, scooting this up, subgroups, right? And then choosing randomly from those subgroups. So that is why this is stratified. Okay, that concludes your sampling methods.